live stream producer so that you can sell clients and make more money. All of that's coming up right now. Stay tuned. It's Be.Live Weekly. Hey, welcome back to Be.Live Weekly, where live streamers like you tune in for tips to grow your Facebook Live show. I'm your host, Owen Video, and you can give me 5. That's right. Type 5 into the comment section right now, and I will send you all of my notes for today's show. That's right. We have hired a team of 17 Brazilian monkeys, and they are typing out all the notes to today's show. And once it's over, we will email them right over to you so that you have access to the great information we're going to be sharing with you today. We're going to be talking about the 3 essential steps for producing a live stream show, and we're going to be interviewing an actual live stream producer. In fact, the same person who produces this very show and many others just like it. We're going to be showing you how to produce a live stream show so that you can actually sell live streaming to your clients and make more money. But first, let's talk about software, because if you're like me and you're busy, you don't want to take all day planning a live stream. It should be easy to go live on Facebook and on YouTube and share your message to look great. So you don't need to waste your time with clunky, heavy, exhaustive live stream software or expensive equipment that looks like the flight deck of a 747. Instead, use Be.Live. Be.Live is a live stream dashboard that allows you to live stream on Facebook and YouTube separately or at the same time without any software. Just log into your account and access the Be.Live studio, and you have full access to all of our easy-to-use features. You can bring in multiple guests. You can get real-time comments and chat with viewers. You can even share your screen, play videos, and so much more. You can get started today with a 14-day free trial of this amazing software. Just go to epiclivevideo.com. Is it right here? epiclivevideo.com and start your free 14-day trial. Or if you've already used your free trial and you're ready to make a purchase, you can save 30% on the software by checking out with the promo code Owen Video at checkout. So go do that right now if you haven't already. And I want to say what's going on to our friends watching us on Facebook and on YouTube today. Big shout out to my man Scott Simpson, Mike Lynn, also watching us in the Video Marketing Learning Center group. It's so good to have you here today. Also want to say what's up to our friends watching us, Paul Duke, Jerry Wild, Erasmo, Laura. Great to have you all here today, and I'm super stoked that you're here. Let me ask you this right now. How often do you live stream? I'd love to hear from you. Is it often? Is it not so often? Tell me in the comment section, because I really want to get a feel for how often you're live streaming and how we can make it so that you're live streaming more often. We're going to go through a couple different steps today, 3 to be specific, and we've brought in a really phenomenal guest who's going to share with you some deeply held insider secrets. Joe Eves logging in from St. George, Utah, where he is dominating the real estate game. Joe, my loan closes in like 5 days. I am anxious. I'm chomping at the bit, and I appreciate all your help. Our topic today is live stream production, and we're going to discuss 3 very important steps to producing a successful live stream show. And those 3 steps are your preparation. Okay, preparation is huge. This is everything that happens before you go live. Okay, then we're going to talk about production and production is everything while you're like anything that needs to be made for the live stream show is going to go into production. And then we're going to talk about post-production. Is everything that after the show into all of that today. And we have a very special guest. Our guest today is Carlos Zepeda, and he helps busy entrepreneurs and video creators produce and run their live stream shows. Carlos is the owner and founder at Zepeda Media, where I have worked with him for a very long time. Zepeda Media is a cutting edge. I would like to introduce you guys to my guest, my friend, and the gentleman who is producing the Be.Live.
Oh. Hey, Owen. I think I lost you there. Owen?
Come.
Owen?
Can you?
Hey, everybody. Yes, I'm Carlos Zepeda. Yeah, thanks for having me on. It looks like it's a little glitchy on your side, but yeah, thanks for having me on. Carlos Zepeda, digital media marketing company, and we help a lot of entrepreneurs, business owners, especially anybody who's busy but knows that they need their digital media and marketing services, especially, I mean, now more than ever. If you can't be out there selling your services, your products, you better be online. You better be online selling those, and what better way than to do live shows? Now more than ever, I've had so many different people come to me now that want to do their live shows, want to do their broadcasting and podcasting, and it's a great time right now to start, before the rush comes in of everybody else doing it. It might feel that everybody else is on right now, but it's a good time to get in. It's always a good time to get in, but do it right now. Oh, let me check if Owen is back. You back, Owen? Well, while we wait for Owen to come back, we're going to talk about the 3 things. So put this back up here. So preparation. So one of the things we discussed about is preparation. And what we mean about that is what do you do? What do you do as far as to get ready for your show? So usually I work with different entrepreneurs, business owners, and they want to launch their live show. And when they want to launch their live show, we sit down, do the consultation, and work out everything as far as what they need and what they want to produce their live show. And then after that, we create the format for the show, and then what we call, or what Owen calls, the run of show. And what the run of show means, how do you set up your show? What comes first? The hook. We have the hook, the intro, the same thing you've seen here on this show. You have the hook, the intro, and everything else that comes after that. And so with the preparation, those are the elements as far as one, what the show will be about, what you want to talk about, and then what visual elements and also audio elements you need on your show. And so that's part of the preparation, and we create what Owen calls the run of show. And so similar to what we have here now. I think he might be back. There he is.
Here we are. I love it. I love it when the carpet gets pulled out from under me.
Yeah.
Carlos just tried to take over my show, everybody. I want you guys to know that that's what's going on here. You evil son of a,
Yeah, it was on purpose. I have the control and I have the power, so I can click you off anytime I want. That's the power of a live stream producer.
It is the power of life and death. We're glad to have you on the show. We're doing something a little bit different today because we're actually going to be interviewing you, and you produce a ton of live stream shows. So I want to sort of talk about the process, and let's start with preparation, right? Getting the show prepped, right? Everything that happens before the show gets prepped. So talk to us a little bit. I know you may have mentioned some of this already when I was off, but talk to us a little bit about what is included in the show prep.
So when I meet with the business owner, we sit down and then look at everything else that they want for their show. And for the show prep, it's the ROS, which I discussed, which is the run of show, the famous run of show made by Owen video. And so that goes a preparation of what elements you're putting into the show. You're putting the intro, the hook. Is there a bumper, which means something that a little video that might play? Is it a lower third? When will that lower third come across?
Yeah.
And what other visual elements you might need for your show? You need a show jingle. Do you need other little graphics that you might need for the show? That way, when you're actually doing the show, you have everything else for it.
Now, for the audience that may not be familiar, we talk about the ROS, which is the run of show. And it's kind of like a show outline or a scaffolding. We use this pretty religiously, and it's a template, right? So it's kind of like, what's your opening statement? Do you have a jingle? After that, it's kind of like, what's your show introduction? Walk us through a little bit of that process of how you walk me through that every week for this show, but you also do the same process for your other clients. What's that process like?
Correct. So after we discuss what the show will be, what the topics will be, we start to work. They have their part, I have my part to start putting it together. Then once we have the template, we completed the certain items within the template, and then we sit down and go through it and make sure it makes sense and make sure it's something that we want to talk about, and make sure, the hook is a hook, and the description has a good description. Make sure those elements are there and are correct and will actually make sense for the people viewing it. Sometimes. Yeah, go ahead.
How far in advance do you do this?
It depends. Some people like to do it, a week in advance. Sometimes it can be done a few days in advance. It doesn't take that long to prep. What might take longer is just how many elements you want to show in the show. Do we have to film? Do we have to add extra video or extra graphics? Those are the parts that take a little bit longer. But to run a show, once I sit down with a person, it could take, we could do a run a show within an hour or less. Especially as you get familiar with the client and as you get familiar with what the show is. Mm-hmm.
Is every show different, right? Or do you use like a different ROS, a different approach for every show, or do you keep it every show very systematic?
It's systematic. The only thing might differ is depends. Sometimes you might do something different where, hey, you might have different guests. Or sometimes I had it before where the person, instead of being in the studio, they want to be out and about and showcasing. Yeah. So those are the little elements that might change. But the fact is, if you have the ROS, the show will run smoothly. Because if you do it day after day, show after show, then you'll get used to it. Then you know what's next. Mm-hmm.
We've got some great questions coming in from the audience, and if you guys have questions, please ask them, and we will get to them during the course of the show. Amanda Walsh is saying, what I struggle with is adding audio elements. Let's talk a little bit about that. Not just audio, but video elements. Like in this show, we add things like frame overlays. We have a bumper that we use. What are some of the elements, Carlos, that you add to your shows? And how much is too much?
Yeah, when you're fumbling and stumbling and like, okay, that's the next one. 3 seconds later, now you're adding something else. That's too much. And that could happen, especially at the beginning when you're first formulating and creating that show. You think you need so many different things. And then once you actually run through the show, you realize you don't. You don't need all those things. The media, especially with Be.Live, it's easy. You can bring in the media assets. As far as bringing in the images, bringing in the video, and like how this frame, you can bring in this frame and the branding elements as well.
Yeah.
So it's rather easy with Be.Live. Just click media button and then bring in the audio or bring in the video. Mm-hmm.
Now it's interesting about audio elements too. Who asked that question? That was Amanda. Audio, and see, Be.Live is made for the human voice. So when you add audio elements, then you're creating a little bit of a conflict. You have to be sure that when you add audio elements, you're not talking over it, because Be.Live is going to prioritize the human voice over the pre-recorded elements. And I bet you didn't know that Be.Live could even tell the difference. In fact, it's the same is true with a lot of like transcription softwares. Like if you were to go into Google Docs and click transcription, you can just speak and the words will type out. But if you were to like hold your phone to Google Docs and you were to play a video, Google Docs would not be able to recognize the digital pre-recorded voice. And so Be.Live works kind of the same way. Let's actually keep that frame up because our viewership shot up when we added that frame. Let's kind of keep that frame up. But adding audio elements can be a little bit challenging, and that's why it's important to sort of know the process and know how things work. So that's something to think about when it comes to Be.Live. Now we have this other question from Jacqueline. Jacqueline is saying, how do you get the subtitles immediately while going live? That is a built-in Facebook feature, and you can turn that on and off. I'm on a desktop right now by hovering over the video, clicking on the settings tab, and then you can turn on or off the auto-generated captions. And so that is a phenomenal feature that I think helps more people access your show, while at the same time providing a little bit of additional context. So Carlos, let's talk a little bit about having guests on your show, right? Because that can be like a real huge problem, right? You have guests on your show. How do you prep the guests? Like, what goes into having a guest on your show and then making them look good while they're on the air?
Exactly. So it's a little bit of preparation, but once you get used to it, it's a little bit easy. So you send them a link to make sure they have a calendar mark, so they remember that they have that show that day. And also, too, you give them a sample of your ROS. You discuss with them what other questions they might like to ask, anything else they would like to show during the show or feature during the show, and just run them through. They can look at the previous videos that you've done with different with other different guests that you had. But once you go through and walk them through the ROS and make them feel comfortable of what will be asked of them and shown, then it gets a little bit easier. Make sure you ask, for the high resolution pictures and anything else that they want to show during the show. Yeah. And then you'll be good to go. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, do you ever get into a situation with like a guest who wants to do more than you're capable of doing? And not from a skill set level, but even from oh, I want to do this and I want to do that. And you're like, dude, it's a 1 hour live stream. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. How do you sort of manage the guest expectations?
Exactly. You try to show them that you're doing the best you can as far as showcasing any of the other elements, and then also show them how your show flows. That's how your show is. So they're basically coming into your show. This is how we run the show. But just know that we'll add as much as you want, but not too much.
Yeah,
that's not too much that takes away from it, because this is the show and that's how it runs.
Yeah, it really does. And I think that you have to really be careful, especially when you get a guy like me, because I'm like ultra creative and I want to do all these flash bangs and whistles. And it's like, hey, dude, like, let's just kind of like have a great show. And then we can sort of add things one step at a time. If you have a question on how to run a live stream show or any questions relating to Be.Live and the software, ask them in the comment section and we'll get to them in the course of the show. Gail Hanlon is logging in. Gail, great to see you. She says, I like taking questions from the comments. That's one of the features that I really like, because you can pop up the questions on the screen, and that makes for great repurposing or using your video elsewhere on the web. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. Jacqueline Peak is asking a question. She says, how can you resize the small speaker view next to a presentation that needs a wider view? That's a great question, Carlos. I'll have you answer it. How do you change the framing on Be.Live?
So in Be.Live, you have different options. Like I can make him smaller here. I can bring him up here. But if you're doing a presentation, you can do this where
that's really good.
You're smaller and then the person is bigger. So that way you can show the presentation, but you're still on screen.
Yeah, I really like that. And then Be.Live has a dashboard, and they've got these icons, and you can just kind of click those and get through those. Jerry Wild is asking a question. What are your thoughts on using headphones? Ooh, I have something to say about this, but Carlos, talk to us about why headphones or why not headphones.
Yeah, it just depends on the look. I've seen the look before where you just have like a transparent. It just depends on how you feel. I know some people don't like it. I know some people just say, yeah, I'll use them. But for me, I have this, but I'm actually getting the other little transparent ones because I feel like it's a cleaner look without it. But
yeah, you're talking about like mine here.
Exactly like yours.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And mine is not even perfect. It's supposed to go in the other ear, but I'm traveling, in case you guys haven't noticed. That's why I've got the green screen. So I'm a little bit on a mobile setup today. Here's the thing. I've got my other headphones, right here, but I just don't care for the look. Right? To me, I don't like the string here. I could do something like this, but it feels like it's just all this extra work for a look I don't particularly care for. Now, I might like this if I had a microphone right here and to give it more of a podcasty look. Exactly. So I would say that headphones are really like a creative decision. I mean, what I'm using is called an IFB, right? That's an inner earphone device. And this is actually a very affordable one. It's like $20 on Amazon. IFBs can go up to $200. on Amazon if you want to get like a TV quality one. But I like the look of I just like that sleek sleek type of look. But there's a bigger question in there, Carlos, is like give us a walkthrough kind of the equipment that you need and that you need your clients to have on sort of a basic level and then maybe a more advanced level.
Yeah, basic level, at least a webcam. Usually it's like a Logitech webcam. And then a mic. We prefer at least a USB mic to start. And then something that they can have here, not something this big, but something that they can have here, like a USB mic that plugs in. It's simple enough because you have to get them, going and start easy and slow. Later on, you can move on to the DSLR camera that plugs in with the mic that plugs into, an amplifier or anything else like that. Because just my setup here, they see this, but they don't see that this plugs into like 3 other things.
Yeah.
Just to get a mic plugged in.
Yeah.
But just start them off easy, webcam and a small little mic. That's it. You're good to go.
I think in some cases too, you could probably even send your clients a webcam. Like if you are a social media manager or you're a live stream producer and you want to get clients, you sell them a $5,000 package for the whole year. Send them a webcam for $80.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's the thing. Certain packages could be like, look, here's the basic starter package. Here's the medium, or here's the expert level that comes with everything else that you need. The whole full show production, camera, microphone, everything else that you need to be set up and ready to go.
What about things like a ring light? Or, I mean, even I've got these like really fancy high-end lavaliers, which we didn't even use them today, guys. Like we were all connected, but it because of the room I'm in, it sounded better with the onboard. Is some of the fancier stuff like, is that stuff needed? Is it optional? What do you think about that?
It just depends on your setting as far as where you are and how it looks. Some people are in their darker rooms. I don't even have a ring light right now. I'm in a room that has 2 huge windows right here, so I don't need that light. But it just depends on your initial setup. But I would always sort of recommend having a light there, because something might change, something might switch. Like for me, it might get dark. Then what do I do? So just have a ring light there just to shine and just to have that focus on you versus having that focus on the background.
Yeah, great stuff. We've got some really good questions, guys, and we're going to hound through these questions. I really love it. Sharon is asking, does Be.Live allow for 2 cameras? My perfect world is one camera on my face and another overhead showing me working my project. Yes, Sharon, Be.Live does have that feature, and you could do it a variety of ways. You could plug in 2 different webcams, and this is what I would actually recommend, is you have one webcam plugged in and then use your mobile device on a tripod as the second overhead camera. And what you would do is you would send yourself your guest link, your Be.Live guest link, and click on it from your mobile device. And just keep that right here looking at your hands. And so it sounds like you're maybe crafting or putting a project together. It sounds like a great way to do a show. You can easily have both cameras on screen at the same time, and you could switch back and forth. So having 2 cameras is definitely something that you can do with Be.Live, and it's really very simple to do. Gail Hanlon is saying, I'm having sound issues when I go live. You can hear my guests perfectly well, but people can't hear me well. Carlos, what do you think about that question? Like, how do we dial in the audio to make it sound really, really fantastic?
Yeah, it depends on the computer as well. Like for my PC, you have to make sure where the audio is going in your audio settings. Is it going out? Is it going to your headset? You have to make sure that what's going to your headset, it's not also going out. So we've had that issue before where we checked here that my headset and the audio going out through my mic were both going out. So we had an echo. We had an echo with that situation.
Yeah. Yeah. And that brings us right to Eric Bradley's questions where he says, sometimes I get the double echo. How can I fix that? So we just fixed that. So Carlos, share with them a little bit about what we did.
Yeah, so for me, I had to make sure that where my mic was plugged in and my headphones were plugged into that same location. I have a little extra box, a little amplifier. Make sure that is just one source going in and one source going to my ear. That way it's not sort of like the speaker shooting that also back out to the live stream.
Yeah, what can happen with your audio, Eric, is it's a couple different things. So there's a troubleshooting element to it, but if you have an audio source like your webcam grabbing your voice, and then it's coming out of your laptop speakers. It's going right back into the webcam again. So it's you've got this loop back cycle. In fact, loop back is what it's called. There is a software called Loopback that is perfect for Mac users. And with Mac users, you can download Loopback. I think it's free. It might be like 30 bucks, 25 bucks, but I think it's free, at least to a certain extent. And you can manage all your audio through there. And I did that for like a year or two. I mean, that was a really great software. But at the end of the day, what really helped was buying a mixer, an Alesis multi-mixer like this one right here. This is a simple $100 mixer, and I have two of them. I have one in my studio, and I have one for traveling. So whenever I travel, I can easily pop up. I mean, I'm on like a TV tray right now. You guys can't really see. It's a card table from Target. I'm on a card table with my mixer and my laptop and a ring light here, and so I'm able to take all of this on the road in one backpack and then set up wherever I am, right? So having the mixer and putting everything through the mixer will like immediately solve the echo problems, provided that you connect the mixer properly, right? But it's really very, very easy to do. Amanda Walsh is asking some questions. Sometimes lately when I'm streaming, it starts well, and then the stream goes black and no one can hear me. Has that ever happened to us, Carlos? Has that?
Didn't it happen earlier?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened earlier. So Amanda's asking, how do I fix that? Okay. This is a tough one because she says my internet is fine. It could be a couple different things. We have a live stream pre-flight checklist. So before we go live, we try to do all of these things that are on the checklist to ensure that we have a good stream. One of those things is not just going to speedtest.net, like go to speedtest.net and double check your internet, okay? Because a lot of you might have great internet, but the moment you start streaming, you're now like sharing internet with everyone in your neighborhood. And it all depends on your particular internet provider and your plan. So I would actually restart your router just to be on the up and up, right? Is restart your router. Now we didn't do that today because I'm traveling and I don't even know where the router is, right? In this location that I'm in today. So it's sort of a give and take. Other things that you can do is run Clean My Mac. And if you don't have Clean My Mac, get Clean My PC. It's about 50 bucks for lifetime of this software. And it's like a virus cleaning up software that you can run on your computer before every show. So those little tiny things will help. Carlos, what are some other items on the pre-flight checklist that helps us to run a great stream every single time?
Restart. We always restart the computer just to make sure and clean out any of those items. And then also turn off anything else that's syncing in the background. One of the things that happened to me once was I had Google Drive syncing in the background. It was syncing a lot of large files, which the next thing you know, it dropped my live stream.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Dude, I turn off Dropbox. I turn off Camtasia. Sometimes I turn off my VPN. Like, it just depends on how. My VPN can be a little silly. I have ExpressVPN. So sometimes I don't like the way it's working, and I might just turn it off, right? To just kind of keep everything on the up and up. But another thing is this. Yeah. And another thing is this, is like, make sure the kids aren't streaming video games downstairs while you're trying to broadcast live.
Exactly. And make sure it's just you, because you think yours is good, but everybody else is sharing it. You have somebody else on the phone, somebody else is live streaming Netflix, and then there goes your internet.
Yeah, that's a great point too, is just sort of like having your dedicated stream time. Because here's the thing, guys. You need, I think, 3 megabits upload speed to even live stream on Facebook. If you have 2, it won't even work. It's just going to be, crackly and broken. So you need at least 3. If you're going to dual cast, you need 3 megabits for Facebook and 4 megabits for YouTube. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't even know how I learned this, guys. I just know this, right? I've been doing this for so long. And it came from using softwares from days gone by that we don't even use anymore, because Be.Live solves those problems. But what does that mean? It means that you need 7 megabits upload speed to do a dual cast. And if you don't, then you won't be able to stream very well. But no one's going to tell you that. No one's going to give you like an alert. It's just not going to work, right? So those are some of the things that you need to know about before you start live streaming. Man, more questions coming
Yeah.
in, and I
Turn off
love
everything.
them.
Turn off everything. I like that they said turn off your virus too. Like that can also be in the background looking, cleaning, and it just bogs you down.
Anything that's running in the background, you know, and what you can do is you can slowly, like once you get like that perfect stream, I really want to encourage you guys, like write down what you did, you know, like you should have a pre-flight checklist. In fact, write that down. I need a pre-flight checklist. And it should be 10 or 15 things that you can check off. It's like, okay, I did that, I did that, I did that, I did that. Reboot computer, reboot, you know, the router. You know, empty my cache if that's something that you need to do on a PC. On a Mac, I don't need to do that so much. But these different types of things will help you rock it. Eric is saying, my stream has stopped 3 times. Are you talking about this stream or your live stream, Eric? Because I want to make sure that everything's working for you. It sounds like you're pretty into streaming, and we want to make sure that Be.Live is working for you. So Sherry Wells is asking a question. She says, can Be.Live simulcast on 2 different platforms yet? Carlos, what's the answer to that?
Yes, yes, and yes. And that's the exciting part, because now you can, it's a better way to reach more of an audience. You know, you're doing Facebook, YouTube, and you can also do, you know, you can do a page. So it's very exciting, the different ways you can reach people now.
Yeah, and if you want to get access now, right now, if you want access to the like we're simulcasting right now. What's up, Rockstar Rochelle? Lance Mechanic is logging in. And we've even got a few more. Double Speak Studios is logging in. So we're dual streaming right now. If you want to dual stream, type simulcast into the comment section right now, and we will send you a link to our private Facebook group. The simulcast feature is only available to beta testers right now. So if you want to apply to be a beta tester, type simulcast into the section right now. Jacqueline Peak is saying, well, there's a couple of black screen issues. So I really want to like work on this. Amanda Walsh is saying, my audience just sees a black screen. To me, it seems fine. I really want you guys in the habit of restarting your computers before you go live, right? It seems to me like everything can, because here's what happens. Carlos and I will prep for like an hour, and then we go live. And really what we need to do is prep for 45 minutes, restart everything, and then go live. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the best way. That's the best way to do it. And here's the thing is you can actually refresh your Be.Live screen, and that would probably be enough
that helps
to get your signal back on. Yeah. Yeah. Really, really good. Okay, so Carlos, so let's dig in. We talked about prep and how to prep your show. I see your guys' questions. Continue to ask your questions. We're just going to sort of organize them, and we're going to go back to some of your questions. But let's talk about production. As a live stream producer, what do you do during the show to make it a better show? Like, what are some of the job responsibilities there?
Putting up a lot of different, you know, putting up the comments, putting up questions that we have, you know, up front, and then just try to engage the audience while the host is talking. Make sure there's certain elements going on and people are still commenting, you know, like when we do the, hey, type 5 in the comments. You know, certain things to get engagement from people, and also switching everything else out in the back end. But for the most part, try to look and make sure the stream is going well. If somebody's saying, hey, I can't hear you, I can't see you, that way, okay, let's start troubleshooting what's going on there, you know?
Talk to me a little bit about how the ROS, right, relates to running the show, right? Because we kind of think of it as almost like a piano player, right? A piano player has music in front of them and then plays the notes on the music. The ROS works sort of the same way with the live stream producer. So talk to us a little bit about how that works.
Yeah, the ROS is sort of everything. Like you said, yeah, it's the conductor. It shows exactly what we need to do, and I place everything based on the ROS. All my graphics and everything else is laid out based on what's going to be next. And same thing with the comments and the questions that we have pre-written to put up on the screen. We have the ROS. We know what question comes up next. Then I have that question ready to come up next based on the ROS. So everything else is based on the ROS. The branding elements that we have here on screen right now, same thing. Everything off the ROS. And so it's it's great. It's so much easier to have that versus like, what are we going to do next? Oh, I think we should do this. And that ends up being how you first go live. You end up clicking just live, and then what do they do now? But once you have this, it also makes the host more comfortable. Before when they go live, they're looking around, clicking, thinking, maybe I should go to this segment or talk about this. This is just a lot easier.
What are some of the hardest parts of being a producer sort of behind the scenes and working with on-screen talent like me, right? So like I'm typically the on-screen talent. You're doing all the stuff behind the scenes, making sure the lower thirds pop up, making sure the questions and the comments pop up. What are some of the biggest challenges that you face as a live stream producer?
Yeah, for me, it's always a little bit more on the technical side. When I click something and it doesn't work, it doesn't pop up, or when there's like an audio playing that shouldn't have been playing. I'm trying to do less to distract the host from the things that happen. So I like to keep that going as far as everything else running smoothly. But it's usually more of the technical aspects. And then once you get in sync with the host, it's a lot easier to run the show. Once you get those verbal cues like, and up next, or after this. Okay, now I know what to click. And that makes them feel more comfortable knowing, okay, it's running smoothly. Because when they say up next and nothing comes up next, they're, hello?
Yeah, it's like dead air, and I hate dead air. Like dead air is one of those things that just like drives me wild. But, Carl, you and I work really hard on verbal cues, right? So we talk and we highlight stuff and you go into the ROS, which is really a Google document. And then we're able to just kind of like highlight stuff. When Owen says this, put this on screen.
Exactly.
Do you, I mean, I already know the answer, but for our audience,
are you leading?
Right. Do you rehearse those? Like, talk to us a little bit about the rehearsal process.
Yeah, you have to, especially at the beginning, but just do it for every show. Once you rehearse it, you make sure you're on the same page, even though you know what the format might be. And, oh yeah, after this, I do this. Just do it again. It'll make it a lot easier. And then remember, there's new elements brought onto the show. There might be a new graphic or something else, or a new video or audio cue that you're bringing onto the show. Just practice it. Just make sure you're both on the same page. Because even though both of you have the ROS and you're looking at it, you might be looking or reading at a different part. As the show goes, you might not even be looking at it. So that's the issue with something with the host. Like, okay, he's not looking at it, so that means I have to make sure I'm on point with everything else behind the scenes.
Yeah, that's really true. And then kind of getting our flow down. I know that sometimes just it's not all going to work out on time. Like in the very beginning of our show, you're full screen on me, and then you play a bumper. And then you remove the bumper, and then you play another video, and then you have lower thirds that need to match that video. So it may not all like work out on time. And as the host, as the talent, you have to keep going.
Keep going. Yeah, and that's a thing that you need to learn as far as being a host. Just keep going. Just don't worry about it. Like like that's what I'm here for. I'll make sure I organize and make sure that it's working. I'll try to click again. Just keep going, and just, look at the comments. Hey, so-and-so, how you doing? And then come back to it. Then, now it's on the screen. Okay, and today's show. And then you just keep going after that. Just making you feel comfortable. That's the main part.
Which do you feel is harder? Do you feel like the prepping of the show, like which takes more man hours? Is it the prepping of the show, or is it the actual production of the show?
I think the prepping of the show, the production goes by rather quickly. Like once you're on live, like it's funny, every time I talk to somebody about going live and they say, maybe I'll do 10 minutes. Like you don't realize once you're on and going live and talking to people, answering questions, the next thing you know, an hour has gone by.
10 minutes is, it'll be 10 minutes before your audience even recognizes
that everybody
you're
starts
online.
That way.
Because I think what is a confidence issue. It's like, no one's going to really want to watch me, so I'll just go live for 15 minutes. I would encourage. How many of you guys ever felt that way before? Like you feel like, I got to do this really quick, spit it all out. Like we were talking. My dad's a salesman. We were talking about this just the other day. He says sometimes I talk really fast because I know the customer wants to get off the phone, but at the same time, when you talk fast, you're devaluing the sale, right? And so I mentioned how when I feel the customer's not with me, I slow down, and hey, feels like you're not with me. So let's just kind of back up a little bit. Like, where did I lose you exactly? You know, and these are different. It's the same thing with live streaming. Is I would actually encourage you to do, you know, hour-long shows at first, and then trim it back down. You know, once you find you're able to keep an audience for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, you know, before the show starts to like lose audience members. So just something to think about. Something to think about is that.
Just keep going. Just keep going. Usually people, that's what they're afraid of. Like, I'll do 10 minutes. And that's usually like the first consultation with them is like, I'll do a 10-minute show. Wait till you start going. No, do an hour, you know, just do a little bit longer. And then you'll see the next thing you know. And that's always happens. You know, I give them the cue. Hey, you're 59 minutes in. What's going on? Oh, that's our show. Huh? You know, they didn't realize how fast that hour went by.
This show is a perfect example. We're 41 minutes into this show. It feels like we just started.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and we've got some more questions coming in. Amanda Walsh is saying, what does restarting the router do? Great question. It cleans up the mess of the router is really all it is. It's like sweeping the floor in the kitchen. You know what I mean? It's the littlest thing that you can do, but it also adds all, it makes it all kind of come together, right? Like you could clean the kitchen, clean your kitchen, but the floor is still dirty. And kind of what you see is the dirty floor. It's the same thing. Like your Mac could be your PC could be all cleaned up. But if you've got a whole bunch of, you know, code or what's the word I'm looking for? Like items in your cache. I mean, your router is a small computer, you know, and sometimes it just needs to be like a typewriter. You just gotta pull the, you know, crank the thing back and clean the thing up. Or I think of it like, what's that child's toy? The Etch-a-Sketch. You know, so like your router has been sort of like on, and sometimes you just need to shake the thing out, clean it up, and I find that you'll get more consistent streaming. Like it may not slow your speed down, but you'll get a more consistent speed throughout your stream, which will stop some of the pausing and the freezing and some of those. Lance Mechanic is saying, I have a client who would like to do a game show format where they would like to have a timer and a scoreboard on the screen with the contestants as well as showing the questions and answers. We have done that many times, my friend, and it is so fun if you do it correctly, right? And so this is going to be a process where you're using things like frames, right? Like we're using this red frame that's sort of around the circle here, and also using screen shares and PowerPoints to accomplish this. A great way to think about this is to create PowerPoints with animations in them. So you could do a PowerPoint that literally counts down 10 seconds, and all it is an animation. So you write the word 10 and then 9 and then 8 and then 7 and then 6 then 5 and then you add animations to it. So it's like appear and then disappear, appear and then disappear. And so it's not really a timer. It's not like official seconds, but it functions like a timer. And you do all of that with PowerPoint, believe it or not. Then you share your screen in Be.Live, so that you can have that look and that feel. You can also use lower thirds like this frame here to ask the question and to do like a do you want to be a millionaire type of thing. So I love the idea, Lance, and I love that you already have clients that are into doing this live stream. Amanda Walsh says Be.Live has been a game changer for me. That's great to see. Glad to know that. Amazing. And let's see what other questions that we have in here, because we got a few coming in. Rockstar Rochelle on YouTube, what up, is saying, hey, are you able to highlight audience comments during a live? You sure are. And in Be.Live, you have 2 different themes that you can take advantage of. We're using the modern theme right now. So when you put a comment on screen, it looks like this. Go ahead and put a comment up. So you see how it's got like the black box with your name on it. It says, what is the ROS? You can certainly show that. And we try to take our frame off before putting the comments on. Carlos, show them that. So we have our frame off now, and now we put up the comment. And so it gives it a little bit more prestige, you know, a little bit more attention.
Looks
Jacqueline
cleaner.
is asking, it looks a lot cleaner. Jacqueline is asking, what is an ROS? An ROS is a run of show, okay? And if you guys want to get a copy of my ROS, I think it's at owenvideo.com. Let me see if I can see it. Put ROS in the comment section right now, okay? If you want a copy of my ROS, put ROS in the comment section right now, and I'll send you a link to go download it for free. The ROS is a Google document. It's a template that we invented, we made it, and we give it out all over the place. But it means run of show. And essentially, the ROS are the stepping stones of your presentation. So it's like, what do you say first? You know, what do you say second? What do you say third? And so on and so forth. And all of that is written out in a template guide that you can put on your computer, fill it out for every single show. And it's not a script, okay? It's not a word for word script. It's like, first we do this, and then we do that. And then when he says this, add the thing there. And the ROS is ideal for a couple different things. If you're solo, if you're working by yourself, the ROS is great for having a copy of your show at the end of the show so that you can quickly add it to your blog or quickly repurpose it, right? And you ever do a live stream show and you're like, oh man, like I should turn that into a blog. Well, if you have an ROS, then you can quickly and easily do that. Janet Smith, logging in. Great to see you today. Janet Smith, by the way, is a phenomenal live streamer, has really utilized all the features of Be.Live to their fullest and utmost. So that's really cool to see. Jacqueline, Natasha, Kim, Jared, all you guys want to see the ROS. Awesome. What I'm going to do is after the show, I'm going to go respond to your comments with a link, and then you can just go give me your email, and I'll send it right over to you. Now, we are, in fact, launching an ROS software in the next couple of months. And so the ROS software is going to be a complete game changer. If you're working with a team, the ROS is ideal for getting your other teammates working on the show. So for example, like looking at the ROS and then knowing where to add, certain lower thirds, where to add highlighters. So I kind of sketch out the ROS. Well, that's not true. Carlos, why don't you walk us through how we do the ROS system here? Walk everybody through sort of our process for running this show. It starts with a Friday meeting. We meet on Friday and we talk about what the next show is going to be about. Take it from there and kind of explain to everybody what our process is like.
Sure. So after we figure out what the topic will be and then discuss, if it's a guest or not, then I go into a previous ROS. I make a copy of that and then just start going down the ROS and filling it out. What's the show title? What's the show title going to be? What's going to be the copy or the description that we're going to put out when we schedule the show? It'll be a copy that goes out on Facebook and YouTube as well. What's the hook for the show going to be? And then do we have the same intro, meaning a video intro, or are we switching a video intro? And then make sure I have that for the show. And then are different assets that we might have for the show. And so I just go down the list. It's just basically, since it's a document, just go down. Okay, this needs to be updated, to the new hook, new description. Do we have the same bumper? Yep, same bumper, same intro, and just keep going down the line. And then change anything that might change. If you have a new guest, just change their information and put in the information that they provided for you and any assets that they gave you, so that you can see what comes next that you need to put on the screen.
We like to think of the ROS as sort of a skeleton, and Carlos builds out the first part of the skeleton, and then I go back in and I fill it in more with like the Owen video specific stuff that I want to add to it, right? So it's this piece that we can all build on, and when it's all over, then we can use that to repurpose the content, right? If we want to add it to our blog, or create a Medium blog out of it, or you guys ask for our show notes. If you type 5 in the comment section, you'll get our show notes. And we use the ROS as the basis for the show notes. And so when you get our show notes, you actually get sort of like an inside peek as to how we run the show. We have some amazing questions coming in here. Amanda Walsh is saying, to share your PowerPoint. Well, we got a couple different questions here, so I want to hit them. To share your PowerPoint, do you recommend having a second screen or a second device logged in as a guest? Okay, amazing question. And really, it's proof, Amanda, that you understand how Be.Live works. So that's really cool that you would ask that question. I would recommend a screen share, 100%. And I would recommend doing that with 2 screens. If you like, it's better to have 2 screens for sure, right? Because you can be looking at one screen while still managing the show on this screen. But here's something else that you could do, okay? And I want to go to Jacqueline Peake's question. Okay, Jacqueline is saying, with PowerPoint, you have to switch your tab in Chrome and cannot see what you broadcast. Okay, another phenomenal point, okay? So what she's saying is that when she is live on Be.Live, she's managing Be.Live from a Chrome tab, okay? But when she goes to share the PowerPoint, she can no longer see the Be.Live tab because now she's looking at the PowerPoint tab. Okay, so here's a couple solutions to that. Number one is, instead of sharing PowerPoint from a Chrome tab, share the PowerPoint software on your computer. Okay, because what you can do is you can shrink down the PowerPoint into a very, like half the size of your screen, so that you can still see Be.Live, but you also have the PowerPoint and the audience will see the PowerPoint in full size. So it doesn't matter how small you make the PowerPoint window on your computer, the audience will always see it in full size, okay? So that's trick number one. Trick number two is this. When you go live on Chrome, pull out the Be.Live tab, right? So you pull out the Be.Live tab so it's a standalone Chrome tab, and then click Create New Tab, okay? And what you'll do is you'll put your PowerPoint in those two tabs, okay? So you've got two Chrome tabs out. Now separate them and then shrink the windows. Literally shrink the windows by going, like I'm doing it right now. I'm shrinking my window on my screen. Can I share my screen? I'm actually going to try and share my screen here. Okay. So I'm just going to share, see if I can just share my entire screen to give you guys a sense of what I'm doing here. Okay, so notice how, tell me when I'm up there. Okay, so let's just go to our ROS for today. By the way, this is our ROS for today. Okay, so you can see that we've got, you know, our show title and all of our statements here. But what I can do is I can actually pull this out, okay, right? And then I can open this, and I'll just open this one up to, you know, PowerPoint. I don't even think I use the PowerPoint or whatever it is. Okay. But then what I can do here is pull this out and then shrink it, okay? And then I can take this one and shrink it. Okay, now look what I've done. Now I'm able to have both of these side by side, just like this. Now imagine this is your PowerPoint here, and then this is your Be.Live show. This is you can now do both at the same time, okay? So lots of different ways around that sort of trickery, and we just shared with you some like major hackable tips. So I hope that that's not terribly confusing for you, but something that makes.
I think as a last resort too, there is an app on your phone. I did that last time because I only had one screen. And yeah. So with the phone, you can control. So when you click it, it moves to the next graphic. Or when you click it, it moves to the next animation as well.
That's really good too.
That's a last resort type of style, but I prefer the two screens.
Yeah, or you know, it really comes down to what you feel comfortable doing. You know what I mean? Like, do you, like Jacqueline is saying that she's got so many great questions here. Jacqueline is saying that on PowerPoint, when you click present, it shows the whole screen. So you've got some challenges there. Google Slides might be better for you. So what you do is you create it in PowerPoint, and then you upload it to Google Drive and open it as a Google Slide. So when you present in there, like it looks just like a PowerPoint. You might have to change the font around or do some little like cleanup stuff, but then it will work in the two screens just like I was showing you right now. So there are some hacks, there are some ways around it, but I think it's really cool that you guys are experimenting with this and learning sort of the nuances of live streaming, because there are a few. Okay, Jacqueline asked this earlier. When broadcasting live to YouTube, the video there always misses the first 10 seconds, but not on Facebook. How come? Okay, great question. The reason is because they're both separate softwares and they go through their own process. So what Facebook does is it allows you to push the signal to Facebook right away, okay? And it buffers on the back end to ensure that that happens. So imagine this. Remember on Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the Mike TV, the cowboy kid, he goes into that chocolate Wonka bar thing, and then millions of little pieces so that he can zap into the TV. That's kind of how Facebook works. So Facebook can take your 1080 fully great looking camera, and then it chops it up into little pieces and then spits it out on Facebook so that you can watch it even from a mobile device. So what'll happen on Facebook is it'll look blurry or it'll look bad, but it will still stream. YouTube doesn't do that, okay? What YouTube does is you have to stream to YouTube for 10 or 20 seconds so that YouTube can sort of like, what's the word? Like it gathers it all there, and then it waits until it has a nice enough signal, and then it sort of starts pulling it out. So your YouTube and your Facebook will not be at this. Your Facebook will always be about 10, 15 seconds ahead of your YouTube live stream. How do you avoid that? Well, you could do two different things. Number one is you could have a hook for Facebook and a hook for YouTube. So you say, hey, welcome Facebook users to Be.Live Weekly. Today we're going to be talking about some really amazing stuff. And I want to welcome our YouTube viewers who are tuning in right now, right? And so you sort of welcome YouTube viewers 10 seconds after you begin the show, okay? That's number one. Number two is I would create a 10-second countdown. Just create a 10-second countdown so that it counts down 10 seconds. And you could even do 30 seconds just to get the stream out there and then start your stream. At the end of the stream, you can clip off the beginning in Facebook and in YouTube using their default features. So you don't need to have an editor. You don't need to be super talented. When you're done with your stream, you can edit them and you can just trim off the beginning so that it will take you 5 minutes. It won't take long at all, so that you can have a Facebook Live that starts right on time and a YouTube Live that starts right on time as well. So we've got some great stuff here. Janet Smith is saying, one of my favorite setups is to upload my slides into the live shopping feature so I can be side by side with my slides. Oh, I love Janet Smith. She knows how to use this software. So Carlos, we were talking about that today, right? We were talking about using the live shopping feature as a way to show our slides. And that's pretty much a huge hack.
Yeah, exactly. It just makes it a little bit easier if you don't have all those extra other elements that we talked about, a screen or a phone or anything, all those other hacks. Just, live feature. It's pretty cool.
Gulnara is asking a fun question. I just disappeared. It's like when I go back to the question, it always disappears. Says, sharing PowerPoint when it's not a full screen, people can see the left bar of your presentation, and I don't like that. I totally get it. That is a challenge. That is why I would recommend having two screens, right? Having that second screen makes a huge difference. Or, you're just kind of not looking at your Be.Live while you're doing your PowerPoint. I know that can be challenging, but, everything is a give and take. At the end of the day, everything is a give and take. And so it's not about having all of the things. It's about, what do you want the most, right? Like, I want this the most, so I'll share it with this, and then we'll see what I get. Like, you might have a phenomenal presentation, but it's not the way you want it. Or you do it the way you want it, and it's not the best presentation. You've got to decide what's best for you. And here's what I think. I think that, especially on Facebook Live, YouTube Live is a little different. But on Facebook Live, it's all about the content. It's all about get the content to the people, right? In the best and easiest and most digestible way possible. When you focus a little bit too much on the pomp and flair, then you can start to lose the message and the audience tunes out, and that's it's never a good thing for you. So Carlos, we're out of time. We got to wrap up today. Talk to us about this final point, post-production. What are the things you do after the live stream is over to make sure that the message gets out to people that didn't get to join us live?
So one of the things we discuss is about after the live show is over, make sure you didn't miss any comments. So go back and leave some comments for the people that leave those comments. And also keep checking back in, check back in a couple hours later, check back in the next day, making sure you respond back to any comments that were left. And then it's all about getting more views to the video. So repurposing, making shorter videos or shorter clips of a segment of the show that lead back to the full show. So we do those on, Instagram, Facebook, that lead back to the actual full show. So you can have people and keep watching and keep getting those views up.
Yeah, and how about watch parties, guys? Like, do watch parties. We're doing 2 watch parties right now. But once your live stream is over, you can do a watch party the next day or 2 hours later, as almost like a replay. And, truthfully, you could do a watch party and then just step away. You don't even need to be there. I find it's better if you're there and you're leaving comments with people, even if it's open in a separate window and you're kind of like writing your blog while this thing is live streaming. Lance is asking a really great question here. You guys, your questions today are incredible. Lance is saying, what are the best ways to get clients for live stream producing? Okay. Number 1, first and foremost, is just tell people that you do it. Just tell people that you do it. Everybody is looking for this. In fact, every time we've launched a live stream program, because we don't do it all the time because it's very time consuming. And we have other products and services that we sell. But every time we decide to get a few more clients on that, we blow up. So let people know I will produce your live stream show for them or for you. And create like a product package, Lance. Create like, here's what we do, right? Like we help you plan the show. We create an ROS. We develop the graphics, right? And the graphics are small. I think we made like 3 graphics for this show today. The frame and 2 PowerPoint slides. Like it's not a lot, but it makes a huge difference, right? Like when you show up that way, it makes a big difference. So write out what you do for them and then attach a price to it, my friend. And here's the thing. I would never sell one of these at a time. I would say like your base package is like 6 episodes, right? And that could be 6 weeks. It could be 12 weeks. It depends on how it could be 6 months. Maybe they do 1 a month, but do 6 and then have another package that's like 12. So it's like, I'll do 6 shows for $5,000 or I'll do 12 shows for $10,000, right? And for $10,000, that's $800 a month. This client can have a live stream producer for the entire year. And depending on what they do, they would only need to get 2 or 3 clients to make back their money in hiring you. Now, Carlos, you've been hired by a few people before. Like, what would be your advice for getting clients to hire you for this live streaming?
I would say be on live streams and commenting back. One of the biggest things I did was I was on live streams answering questions about technical issues that people would have. And said,
That's really good.
This guy knows what he's talking about. And then they would reach out. They would start DMing me. Hey, I have a question about this. I have a question about this. And I would answer them and let them know, hey, I provide these services.
Yeah.
Yes, I love the package idea. Always have a package. Don't just say, I do live streaming. Well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And longer terms is always better. You make sure it's longer terms because sometimes they want to hit a home run on the first show. It's like, it's not quite how it works.
Rare. It's rare. Yeah. You set yourself up for failure when you do that. You know what I mean? Like you really have to get your client committed to like, 6 to 12 episodes. And why not 5 to 10? Because go on the year calendar, right? You want to set your business up for the whole year. So, you don't sell 3 shows, you sell 6, and it is going to take you just as long to sell a client 3 as it will take you to get 6. So you might as well get paid more money, at the end of the day. And then you need to have a really solid system so that they talk about you, they enjoy the process. One of the most important things I think you could do in getting more clients is the 1 client or the 2 clients you have is really dial in your system with them so that the word of mouth spreads and it just kicked me off one more time. That's Be.Live's way of saying, Owen, you've talked too much. Carlos, how can our audience stay in touch with you and learn more about what you're doing?
Oh, see, now it's showing. Is that showing the correct one? There you go. That's my social media handles. At Instagram, I'm at the Carlos Zepeda, and Facebook and YouTube, Zepeda Media. I do have a YouTube channel, and I'm doing more on live streaming because the demand is there for live streaming right now. Everybody's asking me questions. I said, hey, let me just make videos to answer those questions.
I love it. I love it. Check him out. Carlos is amazing. Thank you guys for watching today. I'm Owen Video, and we'll see you next week on Be.Live Weekly.